Steven, how were you surrounded by fireworks on the roof?
Because my buddy had a place in Philly and went on the rooftop, right in like the middle of like South Philly.
But I like fireworks were, well, actually they were good. They were all right, but there weren't that many around me.
Dude, it was crazy. Plus their whole neighborhood, like everyone on the block does it, so it's really close.
Nice.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Cool.
Did you watch them from your roof?
What?
Did you watch them from your roof?
No.
Why?
I did. I watched, but it was cold.
Yeah.
It was so cold.
Well, it was, but I can't
Jaleel
prepare.
was here, and I can't roll Jaleel onto the roof, so we had to roll him up to the window.
Yeah, that's a shame.
It was all right, but it would look better down here than it did on the roof.
Really?
Yeah.
And it's warmer down here.
And it was warmer. All right, here we go. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and welcome to RAWtalk episode number 67, and it's the first one of the year 2014, so happy New Year's to everybody. New Year's, or is it a new year?
I think Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to everybody.
Yeah.
Are my levels good, Steven, to start the year?
I hope they are.
Am I in focus?
You're in focus.
Is the clock ticking?
Clock's ticking.
It's a new year, and there is something new for RAWtalk, and it's the logo. If anybody is looking at their phone right now, if they're looking at this first, the logo should change. That's the point. It's a nice new logo. We have it over there, and nobody can see it.
I don't think anyone can see it.
They can't see it, but Steven has it popped up on the screen if you're watching the video. I like the new logo. I called JP, and I'm like, this is what I'm going for. And at first, he did just the hair, the main logo, and then with the RAWtalk that he did. But to me, that was boring. Like, I wanted it to stand out on its own. Like, we wanted to know that it was the podcast. So the first thing I said, add the microphones. So he added the microphones.
I love the mics.
And then he did, like, red, blue, purple, and yellow. I like the yellow and I like the red.
You didn't like the purple?
Nah, the purple was too... Nah, Barney. It was too... It wasn't good enough. I didn't like the purple, but I liked the yellow the most. But then when I figured this is going to be on a screen, this is going to be on iTunes, I wanted to look at it as thumbnails. And as a thumbnail, you could see the red one and see the I Shoot Raw.
There's more contrast, I guess, in it.
Right. So then I had him add a bigger Sunburst in the background. Sunburst cookies. Do you know what that is?
No.
It was a Michael J. Fox movie.
Was it?
Yeah, Life of Mikey, I think.
I don't know.
I think Life of Mike, something like that. But it's Sunburst cookies. Anyway, so I had him do the Sunburst in the background, which is basically taking the exact background sign from the New Radicals album. There's only one of them, so if you guys look up the New Radicals album...
Great album, by the way.
It's a fantastic album.
Oh, yeah.
The background was exactly what I sent to him. I said, this. And that's what he did. So I love the new logo. It was time for a new one for RAWtalk because I designed the first one, and it was pretty lame. So I hope this one pops.
I love it. I personally love it, especially because you got the metal print of it.
I did. I got the aluminized print. Do you want to just grab it and stand back there for a minute?
All right. Let's put it on my angle so you can...
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, how's that look? It probably looks good.
Hopefully good.
Well, with your microphone right in the way. but that's the metal, an aluminized print. I just wanted it. I had it done with the glossy and the white, just so that it would pop and stand out. So that's the new logo, everybody. I love the new logo, and it's there. And yeah, Steven,
yeah, your guy does a great job.
He does do a good
designing
job.
it.
So new logo. Ow, my beard, my mustache just got stuck in the microphone again. Not good. So how was your New Year's?
It was awesome. I had a good time. Went to a friend's house.
New Year?
New Year's Eve. I think New Year's Eve is, right? Not New Year's Eve.
Something like that.
But it was great. We had a good time. It was both like a friend's birthday party / New Year's Eve party, and went on the roof for the actual fireworks, and it was just crazy. You guys can check out my Instagram account because I have this one video.
What
just
is
showing
your
like
Instagram account, Steven?
Well, now that I said it, it's S_Eckert, ECKERT. But yeah, it was a good time. I had a blast.
That's cool.
I was trying to get you over there.
I know, but I had the very few people here that I had.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of beer left over. If anybody likes Corona and Hogartens.
You got Corona in the wintertime?
I don't know. Everybody always loves drinking it.
Really?
Who gives a crap if it's winter or not? They like drinking it.
I don't know. I'm not a huge Corona fan in the wintertime.
I don't drink beer, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You love beer.
I do.
You're going to have a beer blog one day.
I do have a beer blog already,
your own
kind of.
beer blog.
Yeah, that's
You're
true.
going to have your own beer blog.
Yeah.
All right, so we got that. Steven, we're just going to jump to your news before we jump into all of the other things this time. I'm trying to stay on point here.
We will see. We're going to see if we can get it under an hour and a half today, which we'll find out. You and your stingers, too.
Well, no, I bought
Yeah,
some...
we should explain them.
I don't like you know, I have sound effects, but I don't like running sound effects during a show. I just think it's too cheesy and morning nut hut style. But every once in a while, I want to just hit them. The reason I bought these 4 on Amazon because I want to do more game show types things, and that way we can just have like.
I hope they come up good on the audio too.
I think they'll come up all right.
For those that can't see it on the podcast portion, it's basically just these little like buzzers that he has on the table. Like, you know, like the one easy button? It's kind of like that.
It's an easy button, but they're in different colors and they make different sounds.
Yep.
And guess where they're made?
China.
China.
Everything's made in China these days.
Time for Steven's photo news.
Photo news. First up, Google has released a heat map showcasing the most photographed places in the world. The data was pulled from Google Maps Panoramio service, which attaches geotagged photos to locations in Google Maps and Earth. I've actually never heard of this service, but
I have not heard of it either.
Yeah, so it's not really going to be the most accurate thing because unless you use this service, it's...
And to interrupt you,
yeah,
which is what my new thing for this year. How many people actually geotag their... Oh, I forget. I guess if you're doing iPhones, I'm thinking of real cameras.
Yeah,
but
it's more phones.
Did you hear
what
I just said? I
real
said
cameras.
Real cameras.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to be like, an iPhone and an Android is a real camera. Yeah, that's not what I meant. Calm your... No, wrong button. Calm that thing and don't give me crap because, yeah, you know what I mean.
And New York City was the #1 spot, with Rome and Barcelona taking number 2 and 3. And again, take this with a grain of salt because Instagram, they also released a top 10 list of most photographed places, and Rome and Barcelona weren't even on the top 10. So again, that was only Instagram's portion, but who knows which is right, which is more accurate. I mean, I'm sure Instagram, more people use that versus like the Google Maps service.
Did you see some of those year-end Instagram things from those services?
Statagram and
Statagram did one, and Flipagram.
I personally like Flipagram better because it lets you choose which photos to use, where Statagram just picks the most liked or loved. Top 5.
I call them likes.
But they're loves.
They're loves. I don't love them.
Yeah.
I like them.
It like them, I guess, because they can't really use it because of Facebook. But now Facebook
owns them. They can use it, but their thing was the love.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know who's really right, but again, Instagram,
plus
a little more used.
As we go further into the decade, you're going to see more cameras with geotagging.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't leave geotagging on for personal reasons. Like, if I'm close to my place, I don't want to have geotagging on.
You mean in your pictures on your phone?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you can just turn it off?
Well, on Instagram, you don't have to put it up where you're at.
Oh, yeah. I only do that if I'm checking in at like a big public place or something.
Yeah.
Like when we did the exhibit this past weekend, that kind of stuff.
We're going to talk about that coming up.
Next up, we have Snapchat's New Year isn't going too well after a site leaked 4.6 million usernames and phone number. All the info was downloadable via the website Snapchat DB, which has since been shut down,
who cares?
thankfully. Well, I will say I checked both mine and yours, and we're in the clear.
Are we on the list?
We're not on the list.
Woo!
Yeah. Now, there's a tool out there that I checked with that's been released where you simply enter your username and it tells you if your information has been leaked or not.
Or they're stealing your username right then and there when you're doing it.
I don't think they can. You just type it in and that's it.
Yeah, but maybe they're like secretly taking your stuff because you entered it on their website.
Well, if you trust it, there's a link to it on Frono's Photos.
Oh, thanks for checking that we weren't on there.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure before we said this because I didn't want people looking up our numbers and stuff.
Well, no, my number's online. It's already there.
Yeah,
and like
mine isn't.
So it's not to me, it's not a huge deal. Like people are like, oh my God, your username. And can you get that piece of fuzz off the table?
Well, you got a nice hair too.
Not that one.
This
that
one?
White thing. Yeah, thanks.
Got this too.
I just get distracted by stuff on the table now that I have more buttons to push. No, I don't. It's not that big of a deal. It's not like they leaked your social security number or your credit cards. It's your username and a phone number.
You're right.
I listened to one guy. He's like, "Oh, there's major stalking issues." I'm like, "Yeah, where's your brain, dude?" When it's 12 to 22-year-olds primarily using what's it called, Snapchat, and those kids don't care yet.
Yeah.
Like they don't care. Oh, my phone number and that's out there. So what? So what's somebody gonna call you? What are you gonna do? Send them Snapchats of you naked? I mean, seriously, Snapchat still, I don't understand the point of it. I get it. People send snaps, so they're looking at their phone, they're like, so what are you going to do, Snapchat fireworks, and then it disappears into 8 seconds or 3 seconds, whatever you set it for? It's like, give me a break. They should have, I'm going to go out and tell you this now. I said it when it happened.
What?
They should have sold for $3 billion. They should have sold the damn thing for $3 billion.
Agree.
There's 2 owners, 2 founders. There's like $200 million or so invested, or I think if you check out TechCrunch, I think it's something like it's either 80 million. Then they just got a $50 million investment from one person.
Wow.
So their valuation, they're valued pretty high. But if somebody comes and knocks on your door and and says, "Hi, we're Facebook. We'd like to give you $3 billion cash or a combination of $3 billion in stock and cash," be like, "Yes, please," unless they're already wealthy. But how are you going to be $3 billion wealthy?
There's not many people that are 3 billion wealthy.
And we know why Facebook did it. They want the younger following.
Yeah.
Because Facebook tried to do a Snapchat ripoff. It didn't work.
The Instagram, you mean?
No.
What are you talking about?
Man, they had a thing called Poke.
Oh, yeah, Poke. I remember that.
They tried Poke.
I don't think anyone actually used it.
It was the same thing. It was a separate app. Facebook's got like 40 million apps right now.
I know, and I only use
kind of
Facebook
annoying.
itself, and that's it. Which I barely check to begin with.
Oh,
at
do
the
you?
time. Yeah, I barely do.
Anyway.
Yeah. Speaking of just the photos only being up for a few seconds, moving forward, Snapchat also released new features in their latest update, which includes the ability to replay snaps past the intended time, but you can only use the feature once per day. It's in the advanced settings feature, so you can actually go a little over. Yeah,
they're in trouble.
It's especially. It was just so much better when it first came out.
Well, it's a one-trick pony, right? Instagram was a one-trick pony when it started, and they had to evolve. Now, Snapchat has the ability to evolve into it, but it's... I know Gary Vee will sit there and tell you all day long that Snapchat is a great place to market and to talk to people because you have a captive audience.
Yeah.
Which is so true. If I send some of the Fro readers a snap, they're gonna watch it and they're gonna read it.
Yeah,
it's because it's right to them, and they know that if they don't, they're gonna miss it. So somewhere there's a play in there. Do I think it's the end all be all? No, I just would have sold the damn thing and that's it.
I completely agree on that. But other features include in the new update, they have smart filters, which overlay selected data. So like time, weather, speed of travel.
I wish I had a fart noise to be like...
Visual filters that convert to black and whites, antique look, all kinds of stuff. New fonts for text, and a front-facing flash option that briefly turns up the actual screen pretty much on the phone and takes the picture.
So they're trying.
They are trying. I mean,
they
it's
have
decent.
A huge following.
Yeah. But
so good luck.
I mean, personally, I don't really use it that much.
No, and I don't even use Instagram Direct either.
And then, I don't either. Snapchat also tried to do the whole stories thing or whatever, where you can combine separate videos.
I tried it.
Yeah, I mean, some of my friends do it, but I barely watch them because it's not like directed toward you. It's just like visiting their page and watching the video.
Just work. It's like a lot of work.
It really is. This next one, you showed me this. It's really amazing. A 100-year-old box of negatives has been discovered by conservators in Antarctica. The negatives feature 22 unprocessed negatives that were preserved in a block of ice, and the negatives were believed to be left there by Sir Ernest Shackleton's Ross Sea Party. And according to the Antarctic Heritage Trust, the identity of the photographer is not known, although the expedition's photographer was Arnold Patrick Spencer Smith, so it's likely they were his. And a link to the gallery is now posted up online. You guys can check that out. It's really amazing stuff, the fact that these are so old and still preserved.
Well, the fact that they found unprocessed negatives, which means they were exposed and they had latent images.
But unprocessed.
And a latent image is the image that is there, but you can't see it yet until it's developed. The fact that it was... I mean, I have a roll of that 5x7 aerial negatives, which we've opened it a couple times. I've never opened the whole thing. You know, you wonder, should I just take that to get processed, you know?
Where do you even get it processed at?
Somebody will have to hand process it. Somebody would have to go into a tank and just roll it up and do it. You'd have to find a very custom place to do it.
I have a Kodak #1 camera, which it's from like... I don't even remember when, but it's really old. I got it as a birthday present, and someone bought it at a flea shop, but there was film still in there, and I wonder...
Flea shop?
A thrift shop or whatever. And flea market is what I mean.
I got $20 in my pocket.
But yeah, I wonder if I should get it developed because that's still in there. And I mean, this film's probably 70, 80 years old.
Yeah, it's possible, depending on the heat that it was kept in and all of that stuff, that it won't look great, but it also may have been exposed throughout the years.
Yeah, and it came in the original case, too, and everything.
Well, it's worth it. I mean, it may be worth it, but that's pretty awesome. They found these negatives in a block of ice and then had them processed. That's just fascinating.
It really is.
That's cool.
The stuff that they can find these things. I don't even know how they found it. you know, but it's amazing. Speaking of film, though, BuzzFeed posted a video attempting to explain film photography to modern-day digital kids that were born pretty much after the film era. Not the most informative video, but definitely something interesting and kind of funny to check out. It's more of a satire, but we don't have to...
I'm not. I didn't say a word,
yet,
Steven.
but you're looking.
I didn't. I am looking.
You're looking. And
I
you're
didn't
like,
say a word.
You're about to. Though.
I was not going to.
Okay, we're gonna keep going.
Leave me alone.
They said such things like, in quote, "It used to be that you could only take as many photos as you had room on this film stuff. It was this dark, plasticky tape that came in these black little tubes, and you couldn't expose it to light." And end quote. And then quote again, "When you only had 24 shots or 36 shots, you thought about them differently. You had to pick the moments that mattered the most. The way you shared a photo with someone back then is that you put it in someone's hands," which I really like that. And someone you collected your... sometime you collected your favorites in these physical books that were called photo albums. Yeah. Well, so it's just a funny little video to check out.
Yeah, I need to check that out. It's over on the website. But
yeah,
it's so true. Yeah, but you also have to remember that just because we were born in the time where you had film and you did all of that stuff, that these kids coming along, they didn't. And it's not their fault. You know, it's not their fault that they grew up with cell phones and they grew up with iPhones and iPads and the internet. I mean, I had the internet when we had Prodigy was the first internet I got, and we had it on a 286. No.
Or dial-up, I mean?
No, 286 was the processor.
Oh, I don't even
286, 386, 486, then Pentium.
I wasn't into that kind of stuff at all at that age. So
well, you weren't old. You weren't born yet.
I was born.
Well, I got my first computer in 94. My own first personal. 7. Right. I got my first personal computer in 94. It was a 486 DX66, which was better than the 486 DX33. And it had 4 megs of RAM.
I was going to say 4 gigs.
4 megs of RAM, and I doubled it because I got Corel Draw.
Ooh.
Because it was spent like $600 to get that and had no idea what I was doing with it, and had Corel Paint and everything. But the problem was, how do you get pictures into the computer then? You didn't. Then scanners weren't there, but you know, it's not the kid's fault. Anyway, it's pretty cool. They should watch this thing, see what it was all about, and move on.
Yeah, it's a funny video for sure. Next up, we have the New York Times. They published an article on the future of camera manufacturers, saying that only Canon, Nikon, and Sony are likely to survive in the future, according to Credit Suisse imaging analyst Yu Yoshida. So apparently this guy knows what they're talking about. What?
No, see, this analyst stuff really pisses me off.
Well, again, it's only what he thinks.
Yeah, but see, that's the problem with analysts. It's like people that say Apple's reported to lose their earnings this year because they're not going to come out with something new. Nobody knows this stuff. I just hate how analysts can throw shit at the wall and then people take it as fact. Somebody can say something about a stock and the stock can tank, but they could be completely wrong, but the stock tanked on a rumor. I hate the stock market. Sorry. I'm just so like Twitter.
Well,
Twitter launches at $26 as an IPO, right? But how the market works is the only way that you can get in at $26 at the IPO is if you're one of those big traders at the big houses that have access to the initial public offering. It shouldn't be initial public offering. It should be like the initial insider trading offering, because only the bigwigs can get in on that. So when it goes public at 26, it doesn't actually go public. And when the bell dings, when the bell finally dings to open up the stock market, it shoots up to $46 or $42, right? So the normal people now can buy it at $42. Then they run it up, and it got up to $73 2-3 days before the end of the year. And then all the bigwigs take all their earnings out, because then it tanked. It went down like 13 to 14% in one day. And it leveled. Anyway, that's just I don't
follow stocks at all.
I hate it. Sorry.
Yeah. But I'm not sorry. He was going off of like I think he was saying like Panasonic or one of the companies was they were originally like 3.8%. A certain share of the market, and now they're down to like 3.1 this year, and it just keeps dropping and dropping and dropping. And they're saying the smartphones are pretty much going to take over those companies, and they won't last through it.
Well, you have Panasonic, you have Samsung,
yeah.
You have Pentex, Ricoh. I think it's Ricoh, Pentex are now combined.
Yeah.
You have Fuji, which isn't mentioned here. I think Fuji has a chance to stay up there at the top.
That's
because
true.
they have a smart market, but their market on the point and shoots, they're fine. Fuji Fine Pix. Yeah, Fine Pix, that market's dead.
Yeah.
Right, that's going to die, and they'll continue with their X series. But Fuji, don't forget, is huge in the in video professional end professional video cameras and glass and things like that.
And he says, the analyst says, only those who have a strong brand are competitive. Well, let me start that over. Only those who have a strong brand and are competitive on price will last, and only Canon, Nikon, and Sony fulfill that criteria.
I think everybody has to watch out for Sony.
Yeah,
I mean, Sony,
I think they're coming up.
Well, Sony has money. Canon has money.
Yep.
Nikon, not as much, but Nikon is on the professional imaging end of it. Professional. We're talking about those microscopes and things like that. They do have the high-end systems there, but they're not making money off of photocopiers and
exactly.
Sony has TVs and electronics and whatever. Everything they can throw money, tons of money at research. Sony's obviously a player. They make the sensors that are in most of Nikon's cameras. Nikon has to start producing again, and I think we're about to see some of that happen with CES around the corner. We're going to see whatever comes out. If whatever comes out, we'll see it, and hopefully that will determine the new direction they're going, and we'll see, because that DF is like DS, right? You know, it's
dead in the water.
Well, that was dog shit, but
I know what you mean, but
it took 4 years to make that camera. Remember, they told us, we're sitting there and they're like, this has been 4 years in the works, and
when they could have been working on something else.
Yeah, 4 years in the works. Why didn't you just make a D700 replacement? Make a smaller end of it, you know? I mean, yeah, the D800 was this big, whatever. We don't need to rehash this whole thing all over again.
Exactly, yeah.
But hopefully, prediction, goodbye XQD card would be my favorite prediction of the year.
What if they came out with the new D4 and it had 2 XQD slots?
Then I'd be like
else?
Much happier.
You'd be happy about that?
I'm only happy if there's 2 of the same cards in there. I think that I would be more happy if they were 2 compact flash.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Because that's how it was. Like, I was looking back at some of my old photos because I'm starting to organize and I'm starting to update the website, my Squarespace and things like that.
I started mine, by the way.
Did you? Oh, cool. You got to give me your name so I can get you your year that I'm buying you.
I just started the trial and not much into it, but just starting to get the backbone of it going.
Yeah, pretty easy so far,
it's
right?
Very easy, yeah.
So, well, I might as well say it. If you want to go to Squarespace, get a 14-day free trial, go to squarespace.com/fro, and when you check out, use something. I forget what it is. I think it's RAWtalk.
Is that what it is
I
now?
need to go check. I need to check.
Well, we'll have it up somewhere.
I think it's RAWtalk. I think RAWtalk is the code that I told them to use so that we know that you came from RAWtalk when you signed up.
That's good.
So just type in RAWtalk when you go ahead and purchase. Like, I recommend, start with the 1 year, because it's the least expensive when you buy it as 1 year. But anyway, back to the show. No, so I was looking at some of my old pictures. I was looking at the D3, and I'm looking at how sharp the images were. Then I'm looking at my D3S, and I'm looking at how sharp the images are, like more consistent. And the D4 is sharp as hell when you get your focus right, or when the focus is right, or it's not back focusing. But I don't know if it's lens issues again, or a combination of both, you know, where it's just like, it's just missing. You know, I don't want to miss, but the D3 was so beautiful. Just that, I want that sharpness every time.
Well,
I don't
love your D3S too.
I loved my D3S.
That was your favorite.
Oh, I loved it.
You know what I was watching? I was watching Man of Steel last night, the new Superman, and they had a D3S in it.
Oh yeah,
and it was totally branding and product placement because it was like all zoomed in on the screen, clearly saying D3S, and
it'd be like,
you could zoom in.
Oh, here, we're not product. Look at my Coca-Cola.
She took a picture at the one girl who had the camera. Took a picture at like midnight, complete darkness,
and it was the brightest picture in the world.
It's like clearly that wouldn't have worked
with no grain.
And they showed the settings too, but I didn't pause it, and I should have paused it to see what it was at, because
that's what I do all the time.
I swear it said it was like 1250 ISO or something like that.
It was probably 125,000.
It might have been that. You're right. It might have been that,
or 12,500.
Either or, yeah, something like that. But yeah, I was surprised when I saw it. I was going to text you or something, be like, D3S, it's in it. Next up, we have, this is fun actually. Photographers Cambria Grace and Carolyn O'Donnell, they put together a 61st anniversary photo shoot inspired by the Pixar movie Up, which is a pretty awesome movie, for an elder couple.
How do you know it's awesome? Did you see it?
Dorothy and Donald Litz. I did see it.
You did see Up?
I did see it.
It's one of the Pixar movies you saw?
Yes.
And what'd you think?
I thought it was good.
Yeah? Have you seen all the Pixar movies?
I've seen most of them. I haven't seen WALL-E. I know. That's one I haven't seen that I need to see.
WALL-E.
I'm not going to get the reference because I haven't seen it.
Dude, WALL-E is the only, like, there is no dialogue for the first half an hour of that movie.
That's what I heard.
It's just beeps and bops. And it is, I own that Blu-ray of all things, because
really?
I don't really watch Blu-rays anymore.
Yeah.
Because I've got Netflix and all, but that watch that on an HD TV. Can't wait till a 4K TV comes out and you watch that stuff on that. But WALL-E is such a beautiful movie. It's actually the last movie I saw with my mom. She slept through most of it, but I went to the theater with her. But that movie I love it. And I know some people don't like WALL-E, but WALL-E is just so well done.
I heard good things about it.
And I haven't seen Cars. I know everybody's like, you haven't seen Cars?
I haven't seen Cars either.
It's one of the Pixar movies I haven't. And I just watched Brave. I watched Brave on the airplane. Yeah, Brave is a girl's one.
Now that I think of it, I might not have seen many Pixar movies.
Did you see Ants? Sorry, A Bug's Life?
A Bug's Life I've seen. Toy Story, obviously,
Ants?
1, 2, and 3.
No, it was Bug's Life. Ants was the other one.
A Bug's Life, yeah, I've seen. And then I went on the ride in Disney World, and that was awesome.
Oh, really?
That 4D ride where they actually like sting you and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But I don't even remember what other movies there are. I'm sure they have a ton.
So what'd they do with the Up?
They basically did a whole photo shoot and they recreated the movie for this elderly couple, Dorothy and Donald Litz. The photos include everything from like the trademark balloons to suitcases and everything in between. It just really shows how creative you can get with these, engagement shoot or a wedding shoot or whatever it may be. Any photo shoot, you can do these kind of things and make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really cool thing. The pictures are up, and it's funny too because they're an older couple too, so it really recreates the entire movie, but obviously in real life.
Meh. I love that movie.
The folks over at Click Kitty Cat.
Oh, Click Kitty Cat?
Not Kill Kenny Cat or your
Kill
friend.
Kill Kenny Cat.
Isn't that the name?
Ryan Connors.
Yeah, that's it. The folks over there, they shared a new hand-drawn photography flowchart. That's pretty funny. It starts with getting a camera all the way to taking the actual picture and shows what steps you should take. And it puts you through a process of whether or not it's worth taking the photo in the end. It comments about like if it's a picture of your cat or if it's food, then you should just start over from the beginning. Like it'll go all the way to like the almost about take a picture and it's like, is it food? Yes. Go back to the beginning. Is it not? Take a picture. Just something to check out and print out and maybe like hang on your fridge, put in your bag. It's just a funny satire kind of thing, a parody of taking pictures. It's a cool thing. And that is it. There's not too much photo news just because the holiday and all. I don't think there's much covered.
Expect more photo news coming up probably next week as CES is around the corner. And, this comes out next week.
This will be out,
Monday, Tuesday. So that's when CES is starting. So you're going to see a lot of stuff. We're going to be, I guess, a little behind when that news comes out, but that's how we do it. We do the photo news when we do RAWtalk. There's going to be a lot of announcements. Of course, if Nikon or Canon or Sony or any of those guys come out with anything major, I will make a video when I know whatever the stuff is and do my research. I'll definitely put that out there. How are we doing on the time as we move forward?
We're good. We're about 10:30 in on each camera.
Photo news is done.
Photo news is done.
So there you go, Steven. So that was the new thing, trying to do the original talking at the beginning.
Yes.
Then jump into photo news before we jump into some of the topics. Sunday, we went to the Constitution Center in Philadelphia, and we had a photo walk. Indoors, thankfully, because it rained all freaking day.
It was bad.
But we had, I think, about 35-ish people there.
There was a lot.
Yeah, we started off as a group. We had people come in from New York. We had a guy come in from Brooklyn with his family. He's a cop up there. He was late. He got stuck in traffic, but he still got to come in and talk. He missed the group part. But really, how we did it is the group showed up, and we went in as a group to start discussions. And then we went and listened to this lady talk who has a Pulitzer she's at the Philadelphia Inquirer. I'll talk more about that in a second. But basically, we stopped to go listen to her, and then people just started to peel off on their own to walk through the exhibit, and then pretty much we all just left after a couple hours. I would have loved to have stayed together as a group, but I also think it's important that people make up their own minds and read it. Now, I'm going to talk about her speaking. The reason we stopped to go listen is because she said she had a Pulitzer, and she does. And then I was asking questions because she was at a loss for it. And you know me with asking questions. I'm going to interview you. I'm going to ask really hard-hitting questions.
Very direct.
But I ask good questions.
They are. They're questions that I think people want to ask, but they don't have the balls to
ask. Well, I didn't ask anything bad, but she mentioned that she got a grant to go ahead and spend time. She's done some cool things, it sounds like. She spent 25 years with multiple families. Like through 25 years of her at a newspaper, she's followed the progression of these families and photographed it. She's a photojournalist. That's what these newspaper photographers used to be.
That's what I really wanted to be when I got into photography.
Right, but then, anyway, the one question I asked was, she said she's going to take a year off to do this thing, and then my question was, do you see yourself going back? And then she's like, well, there's not much out there for photographers. And she started to lose me. She lost me on a few things. Then one guy asked, does she shoot in manual? And I think what the question really meant was, do you shoot manual exposures? But then she said that she shoots the camera. She's, you guys are going to kill me, but I shoot manual focus.
I don't think she understood half the questions that were intended for other, like when they talked about, do you shoot RAW or JPEG, she was like, oh, she went into resolution. She's like, what I think he's saying is the resolution of the image. And it's like, nah, we're not.
Well, I'll get to that in a second. She was fine. Like, great stories. I'm sure the photos are great, and she won a Pulitzer, not directly. She won it as part of a photo story, a photo essay, which is what I love, photo essays. We didn't get to see it because hers weren't posted, but, you know, when she was talking about not a lot of work out there, I mean, it's tough. She was probably almost 60 years old, in her 50s, probably.
Which is nice that she got to you know, really fulfill her career of doing photojournalism.
But it's
for how
where
long.
to go next.
Exactly.
Because it's not the same world. You don't go to a
retire
newspaper
at 65 anymore either.
And she also said that, and I also don't think you should retire at 65. I mean, I couldn't see retiring.
Well, plus, how much longer are we going to live these days compared to back then when?
Well, kids born today are supposed to live to being over 100.
That's what I mean.
Supposed to. Now, I don't know how we're going to make out. I mean, I was a kid of the 80s, and there was Teflon and all that other stuff that we ate that probably causes cancer, but who knows? But what I'm saying is my grandfather's turning 93 in February, on February 14th, Valentine's Day, and he would still be working today if he had a job.
Yeah.
Because you can't stop. Like, you can do whatever you want. Some people love retiring and going and sitting on the beach and traveling and doing all that stuff. But I know that in my family, my dad cannot stop working. He's 65 now, but they run a business. It's a personal business. If he didn't have that business and that interaction with people, going out and interacting with people, he wouldn't know what to do with himself.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get my dad on here. We'll have a raw talk with him as we move forward in the year. We're going to do different interviews, but you know, listening to her talk, and then when she said that she only shoots manual and the camera she uses, which doesn't matter, is whatever they supply her with. So again, it's like, well, what if you need the right tools for the job? What if you don't have that lens that they supply you with? That's the old school thinking, is the newspapers would supply the photographers with cameras.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist anymore because you're getting a job and she said this. She said that they started to give reporters iPhones to go shoot. All right, so we know
she brought up the Chicago Sun-Times
she did.
too, and that.
So that was that. And then when the raw question came up and the guy asked it, and she was like, well, if I know that the picture is going to be important, maybe I'll switch over to raw. That is the wrong answer. And I'm going to go out there flat out on a limb and say that's the wrong answer.
Yeah, but she's also shooting for a newspaper that they put it up and it looks like crap anyway.
Right. But the reason I'm saying it's the wrong answer, and I know people will yell and scream and things like that because I say there's no definitives in photography, but when you justify everything with, I don't have a lot of memory cards, because she said that too, and they're expensive. They're not expensive.
They're not at all
Memory cards
anymore.
don't cost diddly squat. They don't. You can get a 32 gig, a 16 gig compact flash card, a Pro one. They're like $50 now for the SanDisk, or if you want to use Lexar, they're even a little less expensive. And they're out there. They're not expensive. That is the most important thing that you put in your camera. You could have a D4. You could have a 1DX. But if you put a shitty card in there, I'm going to call out Hoodman. You put in shitty Hoodman cards, or some no-name China card, you spent $7,000 on a body, $6,000 on a body, plus lenses, to then go ahead and take pictures and have the one thing that is important fail. If your card fails, everything's for naught. And this comes Corey Rich. I heard him speak. This is Corey Rich. That was one of his things, because you know he's sponsored by SanDisk. Do you want to go ahead and do that?
Yeah.
He's sponsored by SanDisk, and I want to give him the props, is where he said he's the person that brought this up, and why I talk about it is because he said, you know, you go out on these shoots and you're in exotic areas and you have one chance to get it right, and the one thing you're going to do is cheap out on your memory. He's like, no, your memory needs to be important. So that was one thing she said. But when it comes to RAW, and if you're justifying, I don't care if you shoot JPEG. I don't care if you shoot JPEG fine or JPEG small, and that is your thing. Because, I just want to shoot it that way. Because that's it. But when you justify it as saying, well, I switch around JPEG, and sometimes if I want to shoot and it's important, I shoot RAW, you don't know that next picture you take is the most important photo in the world. You don't know that. So why wouldn't you give yourself the best start, the best opportunity to have all of that freaking data? Well, I think I'm just preaching to the choir now.
Especially when you're in photojournalism, in that industry. I mean, every picture you take, it's so instantaneous. You don't know if it's going to be the next big thing, another Pulitzer Prize winning photograph or whatever.
We didn't even talk about that.
And with the thing that blew me away the most is when she said manual focus. Like when when you're in that kind of industry, you don't know what's going to happen, when and where. You just got to keep snapping. How do you have time to do that? I understand manual focus if you're a studio or whatever.
Or you're doing macro,
you're doing landscape.
Important.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But
fast action,
that type of
interrupt. Well, whatever.
You're good.
The exhibit's fantastic, and I loved looking at the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and sometimes into the 90s. And I think you noticed that as you got into the 2000s and later on, the images didn't hold the same impact.
Not at all.
Most of them. I mean, the dancing Yeltsin one was a joke.
I can't believe
There's
that
a picture of Boris Yeltsin on a stage dancing. That does not win a Pulitzer Prize. And first and foremost, when we walked in there and they showed the 2013 one, the one for news and the one for the other
feature
or whatever it was, one of them, yes, both of the images were from Syria. And one has like bullet holes with lights coming through.
I like that one.
Yes. But the other one was a kid being held and crying.
Didn't really show
about his dad
story.
being killed or something. Now, if the kid was sitting over his dad and crying, yes. And I'm just saying it like it is here. And I voiced my opinion to everybody. I'm like, we had the Boston bombing this year. There was that photo of the guy laying on the ground. That is news.
I can't believe that
right?
didn't get it.
But then I asked her, like, what's the Pulitzer Prize? How do they do that? Do it. Well, there's people that pick. And then there's a board of people that are not even photographers, which is fine. That they're not photographers. They pick the most impactful image. But then it's a group of 3 or 4 Pulitzer board people that pick the winning images. And that's what's it's a photo contest. It's all subjective. And the boards can be swung. They can be swayed one way or the other. That's how contests work. So you can't take it too personally. But back to that focusing thing, when you looked at the images in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, if it was not fully sharp,
you understood.
You sat there and you go, well, you know what? It wasn't the easiest thing to do in a situation where there's bombs going off and people being killed and machetes being chopped into people's heads. And Lee Harvey Oswald in 60, that was 60 what? 3
4 or 5? Or?
No, it's 50 years this year, so it's 63.
Okay.
In 63, when I guess November of 63.
That one actually looks pretty sharp.
Oh, that
too.
was because a flash went
off.
Flash,
yeah.
Which means his aperture was higher up, which means he had a better opportunity to get the focus. But I can understand then being not tack sharp. But today, if we look at this, if images aren't sharp, we sit there and we go, no, it's not usable. It's not good. It could be good. But generally speaking, it's just like that statement of that, and then I use whatever they give me. And I guarantee you, if you asked her if she ever shot video, it's probably a no, so she hasn't adapted with the times. Yeah. I'm ripping
Well, and
on
she's got a D700. Does that shoot video?
No, D700 didn't.
Yeah,
but that also could take a bigger compact flash card, too.
Oh, yeah,
you know? So, anyway, the exhibit itself was fantastic. I saw it twice. Your first time going through, what'd you think?
I thought it was almost breathtaking. I mean, it got to the point where some of these images you just couldn't even look at. But at the same time, some of them were just amazing. It's very brutal to look at some of these, like the Burning Man one or whatever that was called.
Well, there's a opposition guy in I guess it was the 70s.
Yeah.
And they lit him on fire. And so while he's running around as a flaming fireball, a guy takes a machete and you see it cutting through the fire, and now it's splitting his head.
It's halfway through the skull, literally, and that's when the picture was snapped. I mean, It's just like, wow. Like, I got like shivers and chills while I was looking at that.
I mean, there's images there of people just about to be killed.
Yeah, well, there's one where they fell off the balcony or whatever, the stairwell.
Well, they jumped out. The girl jumped out.
I thought it said it collapsed.
Well, maybe it was a different one.
Maybe I'm thinking of a different one,
But I look at the one of the 1979 in Iran, where they lined up about 7 or 8
the guys are about to die.
People.
Yeah.
Well, some of them were already falling and being shot.
Yeah.
Others are just standing there waiting to get shot. The guys are going back. I mean, it's just like
so much tension.
When I see an image like that, and it's like these people are alive, and then they're dead. It's just like life is treated like it's nothing.
Yeah.
They're just gone. Or then the Adams photo, Bud Adams, right? Where that's the Viet Cong guy just getting shot on the street. It's just stuff like that. Is that guy was living? Now he's dead.
And that was literally a split second beforehand. Yeah.
Gone. And that's the stuff that's real photography. And I'm not saying that the photography today isn't real, but we have lost the photojournalistic aspect of newspapers there weren't as many photographers, right? Back in the day. Now everybody's a photographer, but just because you have an iPhone doesn't mean you're going to capture those images like these photojournalists, these trained professionals, like this lady who won a Pulitzer. Yes, I'm ripping on her modern day stuff, just some of the things she said, but she had a job for 30-some, over 30 years doing it, and she won one of these, so she's done something right, and I guarantee you her work is fantastic. but it hasn't. I don't know if it's evolved.
Yeah.
Right. And so it just seems like the Pulitzer has to evolve. The Pulitzer Prize itself is going to have to evolve because we don't work for newspapers. Right? Would you accept an image from a blog? Is that acceptable because it was published, but it wasn't a newspaper? Newspapers are dead. They're not coming back. Right?
Yeah.
We don't get our news from there. I don't know how many 30-year-olds out there get a newspaper delivered to them.
Not many. I mean,
does your house, you have how many people there? 4?
My parents still got it, but they just discontinued it a couple of years ago, I think.
My dad gets a newspaper. He likes reading the local sports and local news.
Well, take it this way. I used to work at CVS, and basically we would sell about 5 or 6 different type of newspaper or brands of newspapers, from the Inquirer to Daily News and a bunch of other Philly papers. And we got to the point where we stopped selling newspapers altogether. It went from like 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 because not like one person would come in the entire day or week and buy a newspaper. We would be giving back more credits than we took in with that. And the only people that did come in were the 75-year-old guy that waited before the store even opened for his daily newspaper. You know, the guys that's where they're used to getting their news from. It's a shame, but.
So how are we doing on time this week?
I don't know what
you want to check the overall time just so I get a feel for where we're at. Just because.
I think we're long now.
Oh, I'm trying not to be.
We're going on.
We're going.
45 minutes.
All right, well, we'll be good because we don't have that much. I wanted to talk about the Pulitzer. We've got Gear of the Week. We've got.
Well, we still have Wheel of Fro.
Wheel of Fro. We're good, Steven.
We're not doing Flying Solo?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
Why
I had
am
no
thinking...
flying solo for this week.
Oh, that's good.
No, because I wanted to lay it out with topics to talk about.
Oh, then we have plenty of time then.
Well,
I was thinking we still had that.
No, I didn't call for flying solo this week. I don't want to do that every week. Maybe twice a month.
I'm fine with that.
And then throw in there an interview on another and then another like this because we've got topics and we've hit this Pulitzer thing. We've got your news.
Yeah.
Why don't I just talk about Rode right here? I really appreciate Rode. They're back for 2014.
Nice.
They are a sponsor for anybody who wonders. They are a sponsor. They weren't a sponsor when they first started. I asked for their gear. I asked to use the microphone on the air because we knew they were good, and that turned into the sponsorship. And that's something to say out there. When you need to, you prove yourself, and then you ask for the sale. You don't ask for the sale right away. Then that's good in business in general. It's like it's Gary with his jab, jab, jab. You're jabbing. You're giving a little bit before you ask.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like all the website that I give away all this free content before I ask you to buy the video guide or a T-shirt if you want that, or the strap. That's the thing. If you guys are out there looking for business and looking for jobs, sometimes you do a job for somebody as a gimme. You just want to prove yourself, and then when people see the quality that you do, they're going to come knocking at you.
They're going to be willing to pay.
Wait. They're going to come knocking at your door.
You can say knocking, ringing the doorbell, you should say.
They're going to come ringing the doorbell, and they're going to want you bad because you've already proved yourself. When you've proven it, that's all that matters. So anyway, with Rode, we had a couple of readers talk about that they got some Rode stuff for the holidays.
Oh, nice.
One guy got a Rode Video Mic Go.
Awesome.
Trace, who went to one of the boot camps, was asking what should he get for his D610 for doing video. And I think there's 2 things that you can get. You've got your Video Mic Go, which is it's got that Rycote Lyra stabilizer, which actually, now that I understand it, works well. But for a $99 microphone,
the inexpensive option is great.
It's a great inexpensive option if you're just doing general video. And then if you want to throw in a Smart Lav in your bag for about $70, now you can do interviews.
Yep.
And sure, it takes a little bit longer because you're plugging it into the phone to use Rode's app, which is free, by the way, if you get the free one. But at least you have an option to have great audio right at the source. That is the #1 thing. And as we go forward in this year, Todd Wolf and I are going to be starting to make some more video-oriented videos for DSLRs. That is the #1 thing. He said there was a survey done, and I know I'm not even talking about Rode, but there was a survey done the whole time. They did a survey, and they said people are more apt to watch a crappy-looking video that has good sound than a beautiful-looking video that has terrible sound.
That is very true. Well, I mean, when I did film class, for example, that's everything we talked about was always hitting the points that video is 50% sound, good sound, and 50% video. That's exactly what it is. I mean, you need both.
You need both.
Not one or the other.
No, you can't. And that was day 1 when I started. And I started making videos. I knew I had to be within 5 to 10 feet of the camera, and I would project loud. That's part of the reason I probably yell so much is I had to project because I didn't have a microphone. And then that's when I invested in those other ones I spent $500 for it. I probably would have bought a Smart Lav back then if it existed because it was $70, and I couldn't really afford the other stuff, but I did. I still invested in something quality. But a Smart Lav in your bag for whenever you need to interview somebody is just a fantastic option. So check out Rode's website. Like them over there on Facebook. They run different contests and deals all the time. But you can see we use them. I just asked them for a Rode Podcaster, by the way.
Oh, you did?
USB. I sat there, and I used that other one. I'm like, why don't I just get a Rode Podcaster for sitting at the computer?
Might as
well.
Because
what's it, like $100? It's $100 or $149.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
So I don't. Basically the Rode Podcaster is on the lines of what we use now. This is the Broadcaster, but
USB.
this one takes XLR, and the other one takes USB, and it's a lot less expensive.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try that one out.
And
anyway,
I think it's bus powered too, so I don't think you need a separate.
Yeah, it's powered right off of the USB.
Yeah.
So that to me is I'm like, why didn't I think about this before? So they have great options that are affordable and sound great. Check out Rode. Yeah. And that's it. That's a pluggy McPluggerson for anybody out there who wants to know why the show is free and how everything continues to be free.
Yes.
Because you get people like that. Atomos. I don't know. Actually, we have the Atomos running.
Yep.
We have to decide whether we want to add two more Atomoses to both of these cameras. Would that make your life easier too?
I mean, it would be, but that's not. It's still a long show to begin with.
Still a long show.
Yeah, I mean, it would help for syncing in the beginning.
But how about when we go out into the field?
It'd probably be easier just to do that. I don't know.
Unless we'd
have to talk about it.
Yeah, unless we're doing something that's like an hour, like a concert. Even then, it doesn't matter so much. But in here, it works very well.
It does. It's nice.
Because I got to sit on the phone with their CEO. We spent like 45 minutes, and he turned out he was a fan and everything.
That's awesome.
So we got to talk, and I got to ask questions, and I love the fact that they worked for another company, and they had an idea that they brought to the company, and the company's like, well, we don't want to go that direction.
Took it on their own.
So they're like, all right, and they started their own thing. And that's what they created, something, and I can't wait till they come out with the affordable, like $299, the more affordable thing. I threw that at them. I'm like, I'd love to see an affordable option for the beginner, the people that are just coming up that can't spend $700.
Smart Labs or something.
Well, yeah, it would be something like, it would basically be an Atomos without the touchscreen.
Yeah.
It would be, it has buttons on the side to set. I wanted it 1080. I wanted it this. I wanted it that. And that way you just have it. Maybe even if it was $199, that would be totally an option for people to just get out of that 10-minute, 20-minute thing. I mean, maybe we'd start throwing them on here so we don't have to do all the resetting of the cameras.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is too, it's already pretty inexpensive to begin with at being what, like $695 for the Atomos 2?
Yeah, $695 for the Ninja 2.
It's not bad at all.
It's not bad for if you're a working professional.
We expected it to be way more when we first saw them at Photo Plus.
The Samurai's more expensive.
The Samurai, yeah, but that's more the professional version.
It has SDIs.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on, I kind of crossed this out, but I do want to talk about it. My dad brought this up last night when we were talking about working. Oh, actually, I have something else. I had something longer to talk about. It's on the next page. I'm going to go to that first.
That's a long thought.
This is one final thought for the year. I sent out an email, and I put this on Facebook, and I think I'm going to do more stuff like this, where I just write what's on my mind. But there were some points in here. I'm just going to read this for people because I think it was important. If you haven't read this or opened the email, definitely sign up for the email list if you haven't. I'm going to be doing more of this stuff this year, where I just give antidotes out of my brain. So this was one final thought. This was for the end of the year. And I did a quote at the beginning from like a song. And now the end is near. That's a Frank Sinatra song.
You love him.
Well, Frankie Sinatra, man. Frankie Blue Eyes.
Rat Pack.
The Rat Pack. All right. And now the end is near, ... We have come to the final moments of 2013. As we get ready to ring in 2014, I wanted to take the time to thank each and every one of you for your continued support. Since launching the site in 2010 with 0 subscribers with the idea of creating fun and informative content, we have all come a long way. The site's reach has gone global with millions of people visiting since 2010. I want you to think about that fact that I want you to think about the fact that I started with 0 subscribers for a second. That's right, Steven. I mean, 0 subscribers. Had to start somewhere,
yeah.
Right? And we live in a crowded world, but I'm going to get to that in a second. Think about if you think that it's hard to make it as a photographer because there are so many of them out there today, think again. There are a lot of photographers, but you can do this. You can make it. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Worry about what you can do better. Focus on your photography and doing the best work you can. No one ever said it would be easy, but I'm here to tell you, you can do this. I struggled as a photographer from the time I left college in 2001 to just a few years ago. Sure, I had cool jobs in that time period, but I was not satisfied with with where I was. But month after month, I started to climb out of the hole and pick up more gigs. Some gigs are better than others, but sometimes a gig is a gig. One leads to another and the next level to 2 more, and then the cycle continues. Keep fighting, keep learning, and keep your head up. It most likely will not happen overnight, but I can tell you with hard work, you can start to really make a difference. So I will end it there with a huge thank you and a wish for a happy and healthy new year for you and your family. There's a bunch of things in there to keep in mind. One, it's not going to happen overnight.
Not at all.
I think in this instant gratification day that people think it's going to happen within a couple of months, that you're going to get those jobs right off the bat.
Yep.
I got out of school in 2010, out of college, and I struggled. 2001, sorry. So I struggled for years trying to figure out what to do. I went and I worked in a lab as a custom printer in this, it was called Kerper Studios. It wasn't too far. It was like $10 an hour or something doing printing, and I hated it. I hated it because I like to boomify my prints, and then they'd come back and be like, make this flatter. And I'd be like, well, make it flatter. They're like, well, yes, it's for newspaper. I'm like, well, it looks like crap. So that was my job. And then I did people's wedding photos, and then they were out of focus, whatever. So I did that type of job, and then I picked up odd photo jobs here and there, but I never fully got successful at that point, right? It took years of hard work. And that's really what it takes. You got to bust your ass. And when I said don't worry about what other people are doing, stop worrying about what other people are doing. Worry about yourself. Worry about becoming a better photographer. So what if somebody else is getting there quicker than you are? Well, what are you doing? You know, make your work better, keep working hard, and then coming back to the whole thing with 0 subscribers, people look at, you know, a new person coming along today sees that I have 257 or 8,000 subscribers on YouTube, but I remember when I started and it was like 3. You know, 3 people followed along.
Do you know who they were? Are they still?
I talked to what's her name? Texas Mama.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever knew her, but she was a reader before I launched Frono's Photo. Like leading up to it, I had this whole JaredPolin.com thing that I just wasn't in the right frame of mind, didn't do it right. But she was one of the early readers, and she's gotten so much better. And she's still reading after all these years. But
That's
really,
great.
It starts off, and I still know who the people are. I see who they are, and I've interacted with them over the last 3.5 years. We're not 4 years into the site, but it started at 0. So if I can take it from 0, and people have seen my 2008 video sitting there trying to make a video, right? Hello, it's Jared
Polin,
and I don't know. That's bad. Yes.
No. That's
where it was. All right. So it can be done. Yeah. And I'll just leave that at that. And one other note in there from my dad was, I used to get offered jobs or offered weddings, and then I would maybe turn them down because it'd be like, well, what if I have something else going on that weekend? What if I'm on tour with a band? What if I, 8 months down the road, a year, I don't know where I'm going to be, so I'm not going to take that job just in case. Well, I kind of think that's the wrong mentality to play. And if somebody's going to offer you the gig, especially as a beginner or an amateur, and you're getting there, take the damn gig and deal with the rest later.
That's true.
If something comes up and you need to take care of it, be honest with whoever you're talking to and just own up to it. But take the gig. You can't worry that, oh, well, tomorrow I may have booked somebody for $4,000 instead of $3,500. Take the gig.
And the money's so worth it for weddings.
Well, for weddings, yes.
Whatever you're doing that weekend, it's well worth it more to do the wedding.
And usually when you do one wedding and you do a good job at a wedding, you then can get more weddings because there's young people at them, and then there's parents that have kids getting married. And then the one other thing from that is when my dad was talking about the wedding that he went to last, and they flew up a photographer from Florida to come shoot it at New York.
Wow.
And then he said he was looking at the proofs, and he said they just looked terrible. And I never got to see them, but basically I think they were just uncorrected proofs.
Yeah.
And I've said this before, that when I deliver proofs, I'm going through my images and I'm editing every single one of them, because when I print out that proof, I want it to look fantastic. I want it to look great in that book, because if you're still giving proofs or people are looking at them online, why not make the presentation fantastic? Because that more people are going to see that than are going to see the actual album.
That's very true.
So make your proofs look great.
Well, if people are still using proofs, I feel like that's a dying, part of the market of weddings.
Let me tell you what.
Nowadays.
Nowadays it is, but when you can order, I don't even know how much the prints are at Adorama, but if they're like 12 cents, 18 cents.
Yeah, they're not bad at all.
If you order 350 prints and you spend $60, $70, plus you get a book and you put them in a book, do you know how much added value that just gave somebody? So you spent $70. That's an investment in that's advertising, because then they're going to take that book and show people.
Yep.
If it's just a disc, they may not upload them all. They may not put them anywhere for people to see, but they will sit there and look through this book. They will. That's a cost of doing business.
My parents have my brother's on, I think his photo book right on like our drawer or bureau or whatever, and people come over and they're always checking it out all the time. They're always seeing it. All the family members, every time they come by, if it's been a year or whatever, oh, have you seen this? And oh, wonderful pictures. Who did this photography? I know someone getting married. Blah blah blah.
And then it leads to another thing.
It leads to another job. Yeah.
So, and then one last thing I used to do, and then we'll move on to the gear of the week before we get to Fro, and then a rant, because I have a rant this week.
Oh.
I used to do a 4x6 mailer, the thank you card. I would give that to them for free. It was a thank you photograph. I would customize it in Photoshop.
Like a postcard kind of thing?
Yeah, but it was a 4x6 that I would have printed. The place that I used to print them was like 8 cents, 6 cents a piece. They're out of business now, but they still look fantastic.
That's probably why.
Yeah, they were so. It was called PE Photo. They got pretty inexpensive, but the prints were great. I would make it. It would have 4 or 5 images from the day on it. It would say congratulations, and at the bottom it would have my website and my name and my phone number.
That's nice.
And I would give that to them to put in with their thank you cards, because that was, you know, I'm giving them that. It looks good, and it's like free advertising.
It really
so I
is.
used to just throw that stuff in. So that was that. All right, we got 2 things for gear of the week. Then we've got Wheel of Fortune.
Yep. Wheel what?
Fortune. Wheel of Fro.
I thought you said Frochin. I was like, Frochin.
All right, I'm going to start with this.
What are we starting with? Your thing.
We'll start with mine.
Cool.
This is a Tetris Lite.
This is awesome.
This is awesome. This is the box here. Get rid of that.
I love how you asked me if I knew what Tetris was.
I did. Tetris is great. So anyway, this was on thinkgeek.com. They are not a sponsor or anything. It just, they have cool gizmos and gadgets.
That website.
And this could actually work in photography, but this is a lamp. It's an LED lamp, and it's Tetris. It doesn't play the music, which it should. Do you know the music?
It's not Jeopardy-like, but it's kind of similar, right?
Sort of.
Kind of.
All right.
It's been a long time since I've played Tetris. On my Game Boy back in the day.
Oh, did you have the original or no?
I had the big Game Boy, the original, and then I had the Game Boy Color, and then the little ones. And
you keep talking. I got to get this set up right.
And then they made the Game Boy D3, not D3S,
D3S?
DS or whatever it's called. Yeah. I don't know. I never got them. They were the little flip things.
All right, here we go. All right, so basically you have the 4-banger, which is a straight edge, which you really need. So it turns on.
4-banger, which replaces our Kino flows next week.
Yeah. If anybody can see this at home. So basically what happens is it comes with
all the pieces.
All of the Tetris pieces. So now you have to go and be like this, Woo! And it lights up.
That's so cool.
And then
and you're actually playing as you're putting it together.
oh, shizer, this isn't...
You totally messed it up.
Oh, no. Anyway. Anyway, you get the point.
Oh, wait. You could still kind of get it.
Well, the only thing happens is when you make a row, it doesn't actually... it doesn't disappear.
Yeah.
So it doesn't disappear. But I love this. In photo, if you wanted to put this in the background of something, it would be some cool bokeh. But cool. I bought 2 of these. They were like $39.99. They're cool for the end table. They're fun to play with. And I love color. So that's why I picked this up. And you get to build the Tetris thing. And you could technically take the second version of it and add it to this. It would still work, because all it is just conductivity, basically.
And they match your stingers, too.
These?
Yeah, the little bonkers.
All right, so that's that. That's one thing. So check that out if you like that.
That's really cool. You said $39.99 for one?
For one. It's a little expensive.
It's a little up there.
Yeah, it's a little steep for what it is, but
it's definitely a cool thing, especially to have at a party or something.
I just like the colors, Steven.
Yeah, I know.
I love Tetris.
I know.
All right, so that's that. We'll move that. And then we got the one more thing.
And then we got something a little more techie and advanced.
Steven, talk about the gift you got.
All right, so I got this for Christmas, actually. This is one thing I've wanted since it came out. This is the Lexar Workflow Hub, the HR1. It's basically it's a SD and compact flash reader. What'd you do?
I've ripped your box.
now I can't
Steven,
resell it. No, I'm not going to resell it.
I ripped your box.
But basically, it's just a hub that you can put all these card readers in, and it's USB 3.0, which is that's the main reason I wanted it. So with RAWtalk, for something like this setup, where we deal with, what, 4 or 5 memory cards every week, it takes me probably a good, I don't know, hour to download with my USB 2.0 reader that I have right now, because I'm constantly putting in card after card after card. With the hub, the thing that's nice is that I just pop the different slots in, which you can buy, which comes either SD, CF, or XQD, and they're not too bad.
And SD.
I said SD.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, SD, CF, and XQD.
Right. Yeah, basically this is $79.99.
$79.95.
$79.95, which is not that expensive for a card reader.
Yep.
Because I remember my shit. Well, that scared the crap out of me.
I didn't know what that was either at first.
Oh my god, I just got scared. $79.99. I was paying more for that. I think it was like $100 for the FireWire 800 Lexar card reader back in the day, or the SanDisk one that I have. So this thing for $79, basically $80, it's good. Like, it's USB 3.0, so if you have that, it's going to be fast. You have 4 slots. It will download all 4 slots at the same time.
Yep.
So you can put all cards in. Like Steven can use, we have 2 compact flash cards in there, so he has 2 of those readers, right?
Yep.
So that they would go there. He's got an SD and a micro
GoPro,
SD. Yeah. So the micro SD, obviously, if you had 2 SD card slots, you could do that.
But the thing with the Zoom audio, I mean, that's only like a gigabyte file, so that takes 2 seconds to transfer.
That takes no time to transfer. So really, the other ones, you can buy the units. The compact flash ones were, what, $32?
No,
they're $23 for the compact flash, and that's a USB card reader that can actually work on its own. So you don't need to have the hub if you just want one of them.
If you want a portable or something.
Yeah, it takes USB 3. You could take it with you because they each come with their cord.
Yeah, they come right here with the separate attachment and everything. So and their own cord, like you said.
Exactly. So they can stand alone on their own. So a USB 3.0 Lexar card reader, I would buy their card reader over an off-brand card reader any day of the week.
Definitely.
For $23, you get an SD, you get a compact flash, but double the price for $43 or $44. You can buy an XQD one.
Now that gets pretty expensive if you're doing 4 of them or something like that.
If you have those. Now there's only one camera on the market that uses those currently for digital SLRs, and that's a Nikon D4.
So if you're our friend Edgar that had like 5 D4s, that might be something that's good.
Edgar.
Even though it's not his name at all.
All right, here, get these off.
And now I will say this is a lot bigger than it looked in the picture, so I didn't expect it to be like this, and I didn't know it was we had to buy the card reader separate until actually a Fro reader tweeted me a review of what he did, and he said he really likes it, but you do have to buy it separate, which kind of sucks. Yeah,
but look, I like that setup. I think it's cool. When I get the new iMac or Mac Pro, I haven't decided what I'm going to get, and I have USB 3.0 and Thunderbolt. I'm going to get one of those smart hubs.
Well, and the Lexar, I think CF and SD card slot right now, the 3.0 one, I think that's like $40 alone. So it's kind of worth it just getting the hub and getting a few attachments.
Yeah, not bad at all.
No.
All right, it's time for Wheel of Fro. How are we doing on the clock?
We're good. 10 minutes in.
All right, Wheel of Fro.
Gotcha.
Steven's going to put that up. We have a Wheel of Fro, the first one for 2014. And we have the same things on it from last year. We haven't changed that out. I still need to change some things out. We've got, you can win some Fro guides. We have the question mark, which means you get to pick whatever you want. We still have Adorama picks for winning an Adorama picks photo book. I love those photo books. They kick ass. You've got Squarespace on there to win a free year of Squarespace. Also go to squarespace.com/Fro and use the code RAWtalk if you decide you want it. We've got Rode microphones, which we've talked about. We're using those mics now. We've got Think Tank Photo for their bags, and then the rest are Fro guides. So this week, what?
Just FYI, for if this comes up to be a glare on this, it's because we also have the window open today, which usually we don't, but since the sky is so diffused and cloudy,
yes, we're getting a snowstorm.
So yeah, there might be some glare on here, but you get it.
Yes,
just want to throw that out
And
there.
if you're listening at home, you don't see any glare.
Yeah,
how about that? So this week, playing the Wheel of Fro is Michael Credo.
Come on down.
You are the next contestant on the Wheel of Fro. And what are you going to win? I don't know. Steven, are we ready for me to Spinny McSpinnerson it?
We are.
This is the first spin for 2014. I want something good. Ow. There we go. Spin, spin, spin. Where's it going to go? I just see it passing Rode, Squarespace, fro, and it's stopping on another fro flash guide.
That's a long spin.
That was a long spin because I like long spins. All right, Michael Credo, you are winning the fro flash guide. If you already have that, I'll give you the other guide. All right, Steven, remove the wheel of fro. We need like a we need an intern. We need an intern.
To do all this stuff.
Would you put him to work for that? Oh, we could do that.
I don't mind it.
We could do that.
He could do resetting the cameras. He could do all that stuff behind the scenes.
Well, I'll let everybody know. I am looking for, I've picked somebody.
I think you've already picked someone.
Well, I did. I picked somebody. I'm not looking. I'm always looking for the people that I want to bring in. And this person has latched on. So I'm thinking, I didn't even think about having him for the RAWtalk day where he could go push the buttons and then I could like yell at him when he walks by with the suspenders. Like, Steven, what's wrong? Because now we're going to have two Stevens. One's going to be Sutter and one's going to be Steven.
And he spells it the same way too, right?
He does spell it the same as you. But we'll tell the whole story when the first week he's in. We'll sit him down in the chair with his mustache, hopefully.
Put him on the hot seat.
He is the hipster of all hipsters.
He really is.
But he works
him and his purple Holga.
And his named Leora.
Yeah.
His Holga's named Leora.
That's awesome.
He's a good kid, and I just want to bring him in to do some
He's
interning
funny, dude.
stuff.
He was at the exhibit.
He was.
Pulitzer Prize. And we met a bunch of other people there, too. That was a good time.
Oh, yeah. No, it was great meeting all the people and having discussions and seeing just seeing everybody. It's great.
Yeah.
But no, I'm going to bring the intern in, and Steven will be the intern, and we'll have him doing other jobs.
Well, should we, like, nickname him something? Or, like, the
Steven.
fro turn?
No, it's just Sutter. Steven Sutter. He's so funny.
Every time I see him.
All right, so the last thing that I want to talk about, and this actually came about today. What's this say on the bottom? Oh, I forgot to mention GoPro fireworks in the news. Somebody flew a GoPro up on its quadricopter.
What?
Above the fireworks and stuff.
That's cool.
And through the fireworks as they were going off. So that was cool. I just saw that GoPro posted the video themselves.
I should put that in the photo news segment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
just
throw
go
that in
find
there.
that and just we'll use it for the actual photo news too. We'll look it up.
That's cool. Yeah, I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I have something here, and it's a rant. I'm not sure I'm going to do rants too often, but I was really pissed off this morning. And I'm ranting on a bank. And if you want to think that why is he talking about a bank? What's that have to do with photography? Well, a bank has to do with everything. It's where you put your money. And if you have some money or no money or a little bit of money, you know that banks are loving to screw you and screw you any way that they can, whether it's added fees. And yes, let me just preface this. They are a business. They need to make money. But yes, there's ways to make money and then there's ways not to make money. What'd you reset that one?
Yeah.
And you let that one go, the cannon?
You think that'll be more than 15 minutes, your rant?
Probably. I don't know.
All right, I'll reset it.
No, I wasn't saying to do it, but I got to yell at Todd Wolfe. Remember that? So anyway, this rant is about something that happened at Citizens Bank. I have a business money market account. You know, you have extra money sitting around. You want it to work for you, right? We know that interest rates are terrible right now, and the bank is only giving like you can get a 8.85%. Right? That's not very good. That's not even 1%. So if you've got X in the bank, you'll get 0.85% and divide it by 12.
You'll make about 2 cents in 5 years.
You won't make very much money. But when I looked at my interest because we just went into a new month and you get interest. And when I looked at it and saw it at such a low point compared to the months before, I started to scratch my head. So I called the bank and I said, "What is going on?" And like, "Well, you're in one of the older accounts, and that was a variable rate that was going to change after X amount of period of time." I'm like, "Fuck you." I'm like, "No, seriously, fuck you." And I preface it, I'm not yelling at you. I'm yelling at your bank. So remember, I'm pontificating here because I'm not yelling at you, I'm yelling at your bank. So don't take what I'm saying to you personally, but this is bullshit. Why is this bullshit? Because, yes, I understand that rates change, but there's no reason that if the rate is 8.5 or if it's 0.85 or 0.6, which it is right now, that my rate should drop to 0.005.
That's what it's at?
It dropped to 0.005.
Not even
and I said to the
0.01.
guy, I'm like, so I went from 0.6, and in essence, what you're doing is stealing money because somebody's making interest off of that. The bank is making interest. He's like, well, you're in one of the older accounts. I'm like, I don't give a shit if I'm in an older account or a newer account. Every time I go there, they're like, oh, well, we have the new Circle Checking and the Circle Gold and the Circle Jerk Me Off program. You know, it's just like, give me a freaking break. You're a bank. Work for me. Work for me, right? If you see that there's a better option out there, call me on the phone and go, we have a better option for you. Or just fucking do it. This is ranting. I get to curse, I guess, in ranting. It just really upsets me.
Well, it's explicit now, so we're good.
Yeah, the podcast is explicit, but
earmuffs.
Sorry, I forgot to say earmuffs. But it just pissed me off because to go from even 0.6, it's terrible. The interest rates are horrible today, and you don't make a lot of money off of it, but it's the principle of the matter that they dropped it to 0.005.
That's so bad. You would literally make like $1 in years.
You make nothing.
I know.
And there was no reason it should drop. They're like, when you signed up, it was probably mentioned to you that it would be variable. I'm like, I understand variable. I understand that when the interest rate goes to 1%, that I will get more. I understand that when it drops to 0.5%, that I'm going to get less. I don't expect you to pay me more when the interest rate is lower, but I don't expect you to take my interest rate to 0.005. And I said, I'm going to be done with you. He's like, well, why don't you come in and we'll get you set up in this new account that is more preferred and you get accepted and then somebody watches it. I'm like, why don't you have somebody watching it anyway? I'm like, no. I said, how about this? You call your manager, you call your district manager, you call your regional manager, and you call the fucking president of the company, and you get my back interest from the last couple months, and then I'd maybe think about staying with you. Because you've screwed me out of money. It's not a lot of money, but it's the principle of the matter that you love screwing. Who's getting my interest? Because if I'm not getting that 0.6, that's 5.5 that's 0.55% that you guys are making an interest off of my money sitting in the bank. That's that. That is just so frustrating. And I'm not the only one out there, because there's the fees to have checking accounts. There's the fees when you go to the ATM. There's all of this bullshit. I don't have an ATM card. I refuse to have an ATM card.
I used to, and I got rid of it.
I'd rather just go get cash. And somebody's using the elevator. I'd rather just have cash and do it and get the money. I don't want to have an ATM card where they charge you $3 or $4 to go use a random card. I actually rather charge it, but that's my personal thing, is I pay it off every month. Plus, when it comes to people stealing credit card information, if they steal my credit card information and they use it, I call the credit card company, because I didn't give them money. They didn't take it directly out of my account.
It's not a checking or whatever.
But if somebody steals your banking card, the money comes out of your account, and now you've got to fight to get your money that they just took.
Yep.
In the other case, they take the credit card's money. That's not my money.
Yep.
So the bank pisses me off, right? I understand it's a business and they have to make money, but not dropping me to 0.005% when it should have been 0.6.
Well, my certain bank that I have, basically the same kind of thing. They just keep charging for every little thing. Their non-brand ATM fees used to be like $1. They didn't even used to have them. Then they went to like $1, then $2. Now they're $3 if you don't use their specific ATM. On top of that, they charge for like everything now. I think even if you get like paper bills, that you have to get charged.
They charge you for paper bills. You know
like
what I said to them?
everything.
You know what I said to them? They're like, oh, you go paperless. I said, when you pay me to go paperless, why don't you give me a discount to go paperless? Because you're not printing anything and you're not mailing it.
Yep.
Why don't you give me something? Money. Give me a freaking bonus. And that's why I think people like going to the credit unions and things, because credit unions seem to be by the people and for the people. I can't stand fee after fee after fee. I had an inactive fee. Oh, you didn't make any transactions. Did you know you can only make 5 transfers a month out of your bank account into one of your own other bank accounts before they charge you? They're like, well, that's a federal rule. I don't give a shit. That's bullshit.
Because I do that all the time.
It's either 5 or 10. Yeah, you better check into that.
I should check into that, because I definitely transfer all the time.
Yeah, from my own account to my own other account.
From checking to checking, I do. They charge for that.
They charge if you, unless you do it in person in the store.
I do it on the app.
Well, if you do it you better check to see if they're giving you a fee if you go over it.
Interesting. I did see a maintenance fee not that long ago too that I saw.
Every time I see a fee, I call them.
Yeah.
I'm like, take this fee off.
Well, I wish they would just explain why I'm getting charged. It says
take
maintenance fee, and that's all it says.
No, take my maintenance fee off.
Yeah.
My fee is my money's sitting in the bank and you're gaining interest.
It's my money and I want it now.
You're making money off of my money sitting there.
Yeah.
Right?
I think of this one South Park episode, and I always reference South Park because I love it. But there's this one banking episode, and the banker's like, "Oh, if you invest $100, you'll make this much money." Blah blah blah, and he gives the money, and he's like, "Oh, blah blah blah," and
your money's gone. Exactly.
And they're like, "But if you do this, you can do it," and they give him more money. And he's like, "And it's gone."
Yeah.
What?
So that is my rant this week. Sorry that it was, and I'm not going to rant every week, but that just pissed me off. And I said to the guy, I was like, look, I'm just going to go rant about this to people because I'm sure I'm not the only one. And I made sure that the guy understood I wasn't yelling at him. I said that like 4 times. But I'm going to call back because I called the manager initially, and he had somebody else call me back. I want the manager on the goddamn phone.
It's funny, too, because bankers used to be such a respectable position, and nowadays it's like it's almost like they're the next salesman, and they're just like screwing you over.
But he kept trying to come back to, well, we can get you into a better account if you just come on in. I'm like, you should have just put me in a better account
to begin with. Yeah,
my dad left Citizens because they just kept screwing him out. It's just fee after fee after fee, and he's putting a shit ton of money through there through his business.
I'm on the edge of leaving the bank that I'm at now.
I'm on the edge of glory.
But yeah, I'm like this close to doing it. It's just such a pain in the ass to transfer
well, that's
everything.
part of the
they
problem
make it
is
almost impossible.
Well,
to do
part
it.
of the problem is I have so many other, like PayPal will go into this
direct
account, and this
deposits I
goes into
have.
this account, and this goes in. So that's a pain. But if I can move most of my money and just move it out, I may move it to an American Express online.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer it. I'm going to switch it all, and then wait about a month or two till it's all switched over to the new account at the new place, and then take everything out of that old bank.
All right, Stephen. Welcome to the first episode for 2014. Hopefully it's much shorter than the hour and a half to hour 40 minutes.
No, I'm pretty sure it's hour 20.
Well, all right. We did better. Was it better, Stephen?
I liked it.
Were you happier?
Yeah, I'm happy.
I didn't
with
interrupt you that much?
No, it wasn't too bad this week.
So that's it, guys. That was the rant. Sorry if you had kids around. I mean, I'm not really sorry, but I'm sort of sorry. Just whatever. They're going to hear words. They've heard worse than that probably from you anyway. We've marked this as explicit, but that's ranting. It just pisses me off so much. I'm not going to go back into it. We had the gear of the week. I love the Tetris thing. I love your the Lexar hub. I just think that's fantastic, especially just for the things you can use them on your own. Yep. Wheel of Fro, the guy won a flash guide, so congratulations to you. Thank you to Rode Microphone. Thank you to Atomos. Still, we're using their another one where we asked for something to test and it turned into something bigger.
That's true.
That's just that's how we do it.
Yeah.
That's how we do it. We prove it to you first.
This is how we do it.
This is how we do it
It's
on a Friday night,
night,
and I feel all right, and I'm getting on the west side, so I make my love.
What's with like the British accent?
I can't read Montel Jordan.
Yeah, but does he sing like that?
Yes, he does. Go
didn't
watch
think-
This Is How We Do It.
I haven't watched it in like
This
since,
is
like,
how
what,
it's
late
Friday
90s.
night, and I feel all right. My people are down on the west side, so I hurry up and I get tea in my cup. I don't know. So, photo news, good stuff. We had Gear of the Week, Wheel of Fro. We talked about my Ranty Mc Ranterson. We did talk about a lot of photography stuff. We had the Pulitzer Prize exhibit.
That was great.
And I had the thought for the year, that one final thought, which I think is, go read it. If you're not on the email list, it's on the website. It's also on the Facebook. But a lot of people seem to like the final thought this year.
Yeah.
So that's it for RAWtalk episode number 67 called Happy New Year, where we had the new logo. And until next week, we will see you there. Jared, Polin, Photos, Photo.com. See ya.